Welcome to That Japanese Thing. Today we're going to be talking about the anime season. But before that, just a few short news stories. With me today is Yesh. Welcome, Yesh.
Hello, hello.
So, there's not really that much to talk about as far as I'm concerned with Japanese news. It's been one of those slower news weeks, which is probably a relief for people in Japan. There's some controversies about the Unification Church, but we'll skip over that. And apparently Japan has signed the most expensive coal deal ever with Glencore, a mining company. One thing I wanted to say was there's been a review of, a sort of interview with the Rising of the Shield Hero creator. And I just feel like this is not necessarily true. It's from comicbooks.com. And it feels strange to me. I don't actually know the stats of the second season. Mm-hmm. But I did watch it, even though I didn't really want to. And it was very bad, I thought, mostly. Like there maybe
Wait, what's the review though? You haven't actually told us what the review was.
So, well, I'm just getting to that just to give some background, and it seemed like a really poor showing for the season, specifically given like the first half of the first season was quite good.
Mm-hmm.
And this is basically just praising the show and saying, oh, well, we can expect to see more and more of the Shield Hero given its reception. And so, has it been amazingly good? Has it been good outside of Japan is maybe my question. Because I've been on, Japanese Twitter and such. And people are not very happy with the second season.
Season so far.
Yeah.
I will say inside of Japan, the mascot sales, so the little pins and stuff with their mascot characters, his slaves, incredible to say,
right.
Have been high. The bunny girl or whatever she is has lots of sales going.
Right. Okay.
But
maybe
the main
maybe it
character
is like
himself,
a specific segment of the audience that I'm just not part of
attached
that likes this
to.
sort of thing.
Well, I will say, I've been saying since the first season of Shield Hero came out that it was trash, and I hope it dies fast so that we don't have to deal with it. And then, unfortunately, it got implemented into Isekai Quartet, and I was very negative about that.
Oh, barely though, So
yeah, it was barely implemented,
really.
But now it's part of that universe, and they're saying when they're making the next season, he'll be there. Now, Fumi?
Well, I don't know if you watched the preview of the movie, and he is in that, so it is definitely part of that.
So that's what I was so negative about, is that the authors from the other shows all have great writing and great humor.
Yes, yeah.
So whenever those characters interacted, I was laughing. But now, Fumi, every time he was on screen, I just cringed.
Look, it's not the worst anime that has ever existed. In fact, there are several worse anime.
It's not the worst anime that has ever existed
right now, right?
But it's kind of, for me, the equivalent of putting the Mandalorian inside the Avengers.
It's not that
It just doesn't belong.
I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, at least this is part of the same sort of Kadokawa, Isekai universe style of anime. But
I don't know. It's not funny.
I think there are just... I wouldn't have put the Shield Hero in the show. I don't.
It just doesn't have the humor that we were looking for.
I think there are better shows. I just think its initial popularity.
Yes, that's exactly the problem.
Did it, right?
Its initial popularity made some exec somewhere go, if we can put him in, our sales will explode.
But speaking to you right now, it sort of feels like this is another Sword Art Online in the making kind of situation.
Exactly. Literally. It's Ari Fureta, it's Sword Art Online. It has an interesting premise, and then author Kun ran out of ideas after page 2.
Yeah, well, maybe not page 2 per se.
I am exaggerating.
It just feels like a completely disconnected story, right?
From what was initially pitched, yes.
It started off feeling like it would be like more like a jobless reincarnation kind of thing. like a slow build kind of, work your way up through the ranks, just like a slow, thoughtful anime, maybe.
Mm.
And
Well,
initially,
to
even
be
like the
fair,
slavery thing, you thought like, well, okay, well, this is just something he's had to resort to. He's not really that sort of character. But, well, yeah, he is. And every few, well, in the anime, like every 6 episodes is its own arc, it seems.
yeah.
And so we just move at like breakneck speed through things, and there's a resolution,
And
and the
it's
resolution is not
become a
satisfying, and we get to the new
waifu
thing.
collector as well.
Yeah, and yeah, every 6 episodes he picks up a new like
new
harem companion. It's
So it just completely dropped the initial struggling to survive in a new world, building yourself up from nothing,
yeah.
to I have unlimited power and unlimited girls and unlimited influence and unlimited wins.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't believe it's getting a 3rd season. It's just it's so strange. To me.
Popularity from season 1 just carried, which is so weird to me because you would have thought if popularity was a reason for something to exist, and Japan has shown me repeatedly it isn't, that we would have gotten some other things, like for example a new Mob Psycho, or a new One Punch Man, or any of those other things a lot faster.
Speaking of those things, though, just to transition into that sort of thing, there's a couple of OVAs I wanted to just mention. So there is a Mob OVA, which has been out for a while, but it's on Netflix now.
Oh.
So they've just added it to the end of season 2, so you can watch that if you've got Japanese Netflix. I'm not sure if it's on any other streaming service. Probably it's been added to those sort of things as well. So you don't actually have to buy it or get it elsewhere. And in addition to that, there is a Dragon Maid OVA, which is also come out. Which if that's your show. It's cute and a good addition to the 2nd season. But yeah, Mob is coming out shortly, which is what
an entire season, yeah.
An entire new season. But there was a break in Shield Hero production. And I think
there must have been a break in Shield Hero production, but I don't think it lasted very long.
No.
Amusingly,
yeah.
Rei Sakihara, I forget his last name. If that's not his last name, I apologize. Author of ReZero,
Yes.
recently said that no matter what you hear on Twitter, season 3 is not in production. Just be aware.
Right.
Which is a thing he had to put out because the company behind the anime started to do promos, and people were like, season 3?
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
they're
I saw
making
those
a visual CD.
I saw those. Yeah, I saw those promos, and it wasn't for anything in particular. Really.
It wasn't for an anime; it's for a production line.
Something
releasing a
recollection
series
of
of-
memories or something. What was it called?
They're releasing a series of small models. Lawson's, the convenience store, is going to have a set of mugs, and there's a visual CD. Visual CDs are just like click-through pictures with some words.
Yeah. I mean, I actually see quite a lot of that sort of stuff, and the confusion it creates because sometimes Kadokawa or the studio that's advertising the product will put some English translation into the thing they're advertising. And
The advertising.
that will clear up
'cause
what is being advertised. But
got
most
translators.
of the time, it's too expensive to translate or it's too much trouble, so they just put out a Japanese release, and immediately the comments are just full of speculations of, is this a season 2? Is this a season 3?
I just found it funny that we were talking about how popularity seems to have just given Shield Hero unlimited license for 3 seasons, even though it has nothing.
But
And ReZero,
but you know
with
what?
its 2
I was gonna
waifus
say, right?
being super popular.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think there are other reasons why ReZero is not getting an immediate 3rd season.
No, there's no plans. He has not been approached to begin work.
No, I'm saying, but I've heard some stuff, and I think it's going to be a while before if anything gets done.
I don't think it will get done.
But I mean, I don't know. I think we'll get something, but I'm not sure if we'll get a 3rd season. I think more likely we're going to get like a movie. If anything.
Exactly. But we're. I don't understand how you can say no to ReZero, or the end of oh god, Kono Suba. How do you not animate them? They made lots of money. They were crazy popular.
I mean, you'd have to go through so much stuff to get to the end of Kono Suba, though. It would take forever.
It really wouldn't. They cut out entire side arcs in the anime. They've
But
never
they're still
introduced
only
Wiz.
on the fourth book, man. It's 30% of the way through the story.
Okay, fair enough. 30% of the way through the story. Why are we 30% of the way through the story on one of the most popular things in the world?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the people who make it and look at profit margins, I suppose, to understand that sort of stuff.
Oh, well, no. We know that Kono Suba is crazy popular because their pachinko machines have been some of the most successful in Japan.
I mean,
The
you could say
brand
that,
is literally
but,
making millions for Kadokawa.
I think Kono Suba does very well for Kadokawa. And
Yes. And they even made a mobile app, which is not a cheap thing.
Well, they made more than mobile app. They've made like 3 video games with Kono Suba.
Yes, yeah.
It has 2 spin-off series. Now they're making 2 additional anime. So I think we're getting to the point where it might just be a thing for the next 10 years.
No, I can tell you why they haven't done anymore. It's because the books have ended and there's no more books to sell. Therefore, the anime shouldn't exist.
Kadokawa does have that sort of mentality sometimes.
It's a Japanese mindset. It's a 1980s Japanese mindset.
I'm not sure I would say it's like a Japanese mindset, but it is a publishing company's mindset. And Kadokawa is primarily in it for the publishing.
I mean, let's look at Marvel for a second here, Chris, in the West.
Yes.
When that comic book company decided that its television and movie studio branches made money, they invested in it.
But
in Japan, they won't.
You must admit there was like a 15-year gap in the point where they basically had no other source of income for them to decide to do that, right?
No,
Yeah,
I must not admit that, because the problem is Marvel movies had not made money until Iron Man.
Well, there were
As
no
soon as
Marvel
they made
movies
money, they
until Iron
pivoted.
Man. It was
Sorry?
the first one.
The
There
whole-
are no other Marvel movies except for Iron Man. Before that, they were all licensed by other companies. Marvel was basically a bankrupt company with one last hope.
Yes. But as soon as it made money, they went in on it.
But on the other hand, Kadokawa is the largest publishing company in Japan and maybe just in terms of sales in the world. Its anime division is a relatively small earning part of its advertising division. So it doesn't feel that sort of pressure in any way.
It doesn't feel the pressure, but it also doesn't feel the urge to do anything.
Because it's very profitable. And I think you have to just remember it's, they're not necessarily anime fans, Kadokawa. They just make a lot of products that get turned into anime. A lot of their profits come from, like school books and things that people have to buy. So it's difficult to, and feel that way when you really want that season of anime to be made, but that's just the way that business is. Anyway, yes, what stories did you have?
I only had 2 very small stories to talk about. The first is that Sakurajima Volcano recently passed its level 5 notification limit. Level 5 is evacuation of local residents due to the imminent eruption of said volcano. Now, luckily, at the time that the level 5 notification was given, it was determined that it was less than 90% certain that it would explode. Less than 90% is not comforting, but still. And the level 5 notification has expired as of this morning. So now we're down to level 3, do not approach the volcano, and the ground may shake.
Yes, yeah.
Which is still kind of terrifying if you ask me. But it is a gentle reminder that Japan is a volcanic island with active volcanoes everywhere.
So Sakurajima is on the southernmost...
Pretty much the southern tip of the...
Well, it's in the southern Bay region of Kyushu. So that's the southernmost main island of Japan.
Main island, yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's the southmost large island of Japan.
Yeah.
The prefecture is called Kagoshima.
Kagoshima, yeah. Which I think that is where the hell onsens are. So
Quite possibly.
yeah.
The main reason why I'm familiar with this place at all, actually, amusingly, is because it is just slightly south of Kumamoto, the place where the chip manufacturers are going to be.
Indeed. That could be interesting if Intel blows up one day.
Or a very slight earthquake ruins $4 million worth of chips every couple of weeks.
Oof. But I think it'll be okay. I think from what I've briefly read about this, they think most of the pressure has been, released into the sea or underground or something like that. So I don't think we're going to see a disastrous explosion in Japan.
It seems unlikely that it will explode immediately, but such activity is kind of terrifying because it's usually a precursor to an actual explosion.
Right.
So they are on quote-unquote high alert. And then also from Kagoshima Prefecture, once again, JAXA has successfully launched a hypersonic ramjet engine. The purpose of this testing officially is they are saying they are attempting to develop space planes which don't have to use liquid oxygen tanks and packed fuel to launch, which would lower the cost of going to and from low orbit and space in general by a very wide margin.
What are they using?
Also, they're using ramjet engines. Ramjet engines basically compress air to the point that between the heat and the pressure, they can burn the oxygen inside of it, even if the air is so rarefied that normally you wouldn't be able to light a match.
Okay, interesting.
So basically, it's a way to force 15 to 25 atmospheres, which is not what will happen at upper atmospheres, obviously. It can put 15 to 25 atmospheres in just to the force of the turbine. Now, at ground level, this would make the engine explode, so it doesn't do that at ground level, obviously. But once you get very high up in the atmosphere, normal jet engines no longer work because they don't have enough oxygen to combust. But a ramjet engine can get 25 times as much atmosphere into its chamber due to the ramjet, allowing it to... Sorry?
No. So yeah, that'll solve some fuel problems. But also, it's a cool sounding name. I look forward to hearing it in sci-fi after this.
So their hypersonic ramjet rocket engines have proven successful. They traveled 30 kilometers in 5 seconds during their launch. They surpassed Mach 3.
Okay.
Which is kind of goddamn crazy, actually.
Yeah, for compressed air, that's pretty nuts.
And then they managed to successfully land. Some have noted that similar technology may be used on a different class of ballistic object.
Right.
Due to recent tensions to the north of Japan. But that's that story.
Are they bigger rockets than fuel rockets?
No, they're actually a great deal smaller.
Okay. I mean, that's
so the normal
maybe
NASA rocket, the
yeah.
orange middle tank, is just oxygen.
Yes.
It's a swimming pool of liquid. They launch a rocket with a swimming pool attached.
Well, we need to burn it somehow, so this is how we go. Right.
So the point of the ramjet is to get rid of the middle swimming pool.
Yes.
So it still has those two side rockets, but now they have giant fans on the front to create the ramjet effect.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Let's move on.
Super cool. Let's move on to our main topic.
Indeed.
We're going to be talking about all of the anime that has come
From
out
this
this season that we have watched. And I've tried my best to watch as many things as I can, but there are just some things I'm not going to watch. And I don't care what anyone says.
I am in that same boat.
I'm not watching Classroom of the Elite, for example, and
so Chris,
things. Yeah.
Just to ensure that we are both on the same page, why don't we go to my anime list, Summer 22 seasonal anime, and then sort by score?
Okay.
Then we can at least talk about all of these things in the correct order.
Sendeth me a link, please.
Indeed, I will do so semi-immediately. So this is here. I'm doing it in general as before.
Thank you.
Then you just need to change the sort to score.
To score. Okay. I shall do that. So, what is what are your favorites so far, Yesh?
Okay, so currently, from a favorites perspective, I would have to say Overlord 4, like Licorice, like Horus, Recoil, Isekai Ojisan. What?
No, just the pronunciation.
I'm not 100% how to pronounce that. And the Yakuza babysitting thing.
Right, the Yakuza caretaker anime.
I'm not sure what it's called in English.
Yeah.
It's like Daughter Care Academy or something in Japanese.
Let me okay, so let me think. I think I don't know how I feel about. I like the fact that Overlord is out. Not sure it's my favorite one of the season though. I think the one that I'm enjoying the most might be Call of the Night. Yofukashi no Uta.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like a weird, relaxing sort of anime to watch.
I'm so concerned that I'm enjoying it and that it's going to ruin me later on.
Maybe.
Because anime has consistently been interesting start, fail to go anywhere.
I don't think it's going to go anywhere, and I don't care because it's not that sort of show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it certainly isn't.
The most disappointing thing that's happened to me this season, though, before we get into just generally what we're watching, is that I looked up what happens in Isekai Ojisan, and it kind of broke me for like a good hour.
What?
In
Explain?
that, like there seems to be no future connection between Isekai world and Japan, right?
Yes, indeed, correct.
So
this is the post-isekai anime.
I suppose I'll put a spoiler thing before I say that on the screen or something. But yeah, none of the characters from either of the worlds interact. That's all just something that happens in his memories, right? But that is maybe I don't know if you want to say like the objective best show this season for me so far, just in the way it's presented.
Presented to us. I find the animation a little bit off sometimes. I don't know what it is about it. But sometimes when they present us, his memories are always great. But when we return to the modern world, like when we return to the normal world, I sometimes find the way they animate him wrong.
Do you remember old BBC shows where they would film with different cameras inside and outside? Mm-hmm. It's got that sort of feeling to it, I think.
Feeling to it, yeah.
And
it's an animation,
it's intentional,
so they're doing it on purpose.
Because if you look at the poster, you'll notice that there's that split with the sword, and things are drawn differently. Even the same characters are different. The lighting is different. Like the fantasy world has that kind of like haze about it.
It does, and also that coloring.
Yes. It's there's a realistic kind of lighting in the real world, and there's more of a anime kind of lighting in the other world.
In the other world.
So I think that's intentional. So I'm not watching Maid in the Abyss. It's like the 4th season. You know, if you like that, it's out. Apparently the score is amazing as always.
The fans of the show are very, very passionate. Sadly, Maid in Abyss season 1 I enjoyed, and then I just fell off the train.
Yeah, I'm not on the suffering train, so that's fine. How do you say this? Rikorisu. Is it? No, it's Rikorisu Ricoiru, which is apparently like the licorice is a type of flower, which is a real flower, but also a kind of a fictional flower, which is supposed to be a hell flower. So I guess the idea is like,
the spider lily.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be it's supposed to be a flower that grows in Japanese and Chinese hell.
The other world, yeah.
The other world. And
It's supposed to represent traveling to death or traveling to the other world.
yeah, but
when
it's
you
but
encounter it
in the
life.
story we have the idea that there's Japan is presented as this safe, idyllic country, right, on the surface, and then underneath it there's this plethora of like
Hellish
hidden
underworld.
societies that are at war with each other, and the Rikorisu are the Japanese schoolgirl faction who are just secretly assassins. So that's why they have like the Hellflower as their kind of
Their
call
symbol.
sign.
But everything is also presented so straight faced. That the high school life is presented as like fun, happy, positive life, and then the underworld is just presented as we have to do this to keep the world running. I think I'm a fan of how straight faced they're playing it, because this could have been silly. This could have
I
been silly
really
very easily.
like it. I don't know if I feel that same way about it.
What's your take? Sorry, let me let you finish.
I think the best part of the show is the voice actress for the red shirt schoolgirl, the one who's kind of in charge. I don't remember her name, but it's like a pure moment of joy every time she says something in the show.
Goes off.
Yeah, it's just so like bubbly and weird, and you contrast that with bullets flying around and
Yes,
such.
exactly.
It's
Well,
a perfect
I
perfect job.
think
Well done.
when I
Well
was
done, that
saying
voice actress.
the high school side is like so joyful, and then the underworld side is like, so we have to do this. I think main girl, she's like a blonde with a like a ribbon and like an excessive smiley attitude.
Yes.
Helps sell that quite a lot.
She's not Takina, right? That's the other one.
Miss
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Miss-
But it really doesn't matter. She's like she's the main girl. You'll know who she is. She's the one who doesn't shoot anyone. Well, she uses fake bullets to shoot people because she doesn't want to kill anything, and that's kind of the whole like point of her character and why she's been reassigned to the cafe is because she doesn't really follow orders very well.
and in a way,
yeah,
the black-haired one
in a
is the
way,
one
yeah.
that's like effective.
Yeah. Well, no, that is Takina Inoue. Yeah, that is the she's the one that's reassigned for disobeying an order. So there's this cafe that is controlled by an ex sniper guy. Is where all like the rejects that they are not gonna like just kind of put in prison or something or get sent as maybe a punishment or like a way to be rehabilitated into the organization or something like that. But I think I don't want to spoil what I think is going to happen. So I think it's definitely
That's exactly
one of the
it.
better,
We should have dodged spoilers.
yeah, one of the better animes of the season. I think everyone should watch it. It's just like a nice, joyful experience, and it's also going to have like a semi-serious story to back it up. So I think it's going to be one of the better ones for a season one this season. I'm not going to watch Love Live.
I'm skipping that as well.
Right. Also, High School of the Elite, Classroom of the Elite, whatever. Second season. If you like the first season, watch that. Call of the Night, we've talked about a bit. I think it's amazing, especially that opening song is particularly great.
I have hopes for the show, which is why I'm very scared.
I love it when like a character has a voice that doesn't quite match their appearance.
The face, yeah.
And so like the vampire lady has like a kind of 1950s sort of voice to her to her
Nazuna.
like 20ish something body. Yeah.
Body. She looks like she's like 19 to 20.
Yeah. Like not teenager, but not quite like definitely like woman. So it's difficult to say, I suppose. But yeah, she speaks like an old lady, which is great. Like a really rude old lady as well. The visuals are fantastic. It's it's got a unique kind of style, which I think is going to be more prevalent in anime going forward. Because I've seen a lot of manga recently which have a similar drawing style, especially given...
I think the particular style of the lighting and animation is due to them implementing the new style of 3D tech. So a lot of this is done on computer.
Yeah. I mean, the background stuff, yeah, I agree with. I'm just talking about the way the characters are drawn, I suppose. Specifically, like the protagonist, the male protagonist. I think you're going to see a lot more of him in the future. People drawn like that, particular. But yeah, watch it. It's not going to change your life, but it's a very enjoyable show. Next on the rating is Isekai Ojisan. We've already spoiled that. It's amazing. I
find the humor is great in this.
Yeah, if you had a Sega Saturn, this show is going to be great for you as well. But even if you didn't, like, you'll understand some of like the nostalgia stuff. I think pretty well. There's, oh my god, another dungeon. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Kind
of an old staple now.
Are you watching that at all?
I watched 2 seasons of this shit. I'm not doing it anymore.
I too watched the first season and a few episodes of the second season, I think. No, I'm done with it as well. I think it's not particularly unique. Shadow House, the second season. If you watch the first season, you'll like that.
I have not watched Shadow House at all.
But the next one is Kumicho Musume to Sewagakari. The Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting. It's about a Yakuza family, as in like a mafia-style family, who has a hot-headed thug who is punished for being too violent, I guess. He's a bit too aggressive, yeah. Yeah. Like he screams like, what does he say? Like, why can't we all just get along? As he's like beating people to death. Use your words, kind of thing. And so like the boss is like, either you're gonna cut off some fingers as punishment, or you're gonna take care of my daughter. You're gonna be her babysitter, essentially. The word they use is more like I suppose similar to a bodyguard, but like a caretaker bodyguard kind of thing.
It's a very Yakuza way of saying you're going to be daycare.
Right. So he is sort of stuck, taking her to school and to like some, taking you out to see the fireworks in summer and stuff like that. And it's just a cute little show, which is a series of shows modernizing and sanitizing the Yakuza in ways that are presentable to the general public. I don't know why this is happening in anime, but I think since Nisekoi, this has become like a trope, hasn't it?
I feel like GTO even can be said to be...
But I mean, GTO was a former Yakuza, right? I mean, he wasn't really a Yakuza, he was just a thug.
He was just a thug, but it's the same over the same. You get your rough and ready guy, and then you get your innocent girl, and then we put them together, and voila, story. I've seen this story multiple times, but the cute interactions are still very cute.
Well, I think what we're getting more and more of is people who are currently Yakuza being presented in like a sympathetic light.
A more acceptable way.
I mean, these are all people who are going about their normal Yakuza activities of, extortion and whatnot. But he's also, the babysitter of this little girl child. Mm-hmm. Which is incredibly cute. And then they go into Kabukicho and they beat up 2 guys who are pretending to be Yakuza. So it's got that sort of Moe gap kind of thing going on, I guess. In like a reverse way. I'm enjoying it a lot. I don't know what to categorize it as. It's not slice of life for sure, but it kind of feels like that. Okay. Then we've got the parallel. We've got Isekai.
Yakkyoku,
Yeah, Yakkyoku.
which is parallel world pharmacy, as you were saying. Sorry.
It's about a guy who works himself to death, and he's a guy who's working in a high-level position in a pharmaceutical company.
Pharmaceutical black company, basically, works him to death.
Maybe. Like, he just seems like he worked himself to death for no particular reason, right? That's what I got from watching the first episode anyway.
It's also possible he just worked himself to death.
Yeah.
But with these isekai shows, it's pretty standard that, oh no, the boss asked me to stay in over the entire weekend with no sleep for 48 hours, 72 hours.
And he's got like a sad, backstory of he couldn't save his sister. It's kind of a Doctor Strange kind of backstory when you think about it.
Okay. Kind of. I suppose he is reborn with like unlimited power, basically.
Yeah, and so he has, not unlimited power, right? I mean, he's got a very specific power. He can diagnose
identify
people.
any illness,
yeah,
and then using his modern world knowledge, instantly cure it by use of magic.
He also does have like quite strong magic by the standards of that world, right? So there is that sense of overpowered protagonist kind of thing going for him. I'm really enjoying it.
Crushes his magic teacher, who's supposedly a prodigy.
Yes.
By the time he turns 10.
There's some weird like things going on there that haven't been explained, and I haven't read any of the manga, so I don't really know what's going on. Like he doesn't have a shadow, for instance, is one of the things. So he's kind of like a monster,
Yes. So he has been blessed by the gods of the world. The god of water, in particular, brought him into the world as a great healer in the hopes that he can spread medicine to this world.
Right. But anyway, I mean, it's not like it seems like it's going to be not like a violent kind of fighting kind of thing. Obviously, it's just like he's going to be going about using his knowledge of chemicals and things, to make penicillin and whatnot. Right. So it looks like quite a nice isekai anime in the vein of the bookworm anime.
Ascendance of the Bookworm.
Ascendance of the Bookworm, yeah.
So I've got a little bit of bad news for you in that regard.
But don't tell me it hasn't happened yet.
Fair enough.
Anyway, but yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm actually what they're doing really well on the show is they're leaving a good cliffhanger at the end of every episode. So I really want to watch the next one. And I appreciate that. But also,
I personally
annoying.
find the world building and characterization extremely dull and boring in this show. They don't do any of it. They just have MC encounters a problem and solves it, and then we talk about medicine for about 15 minutes.
I kind of enjoy learning about the medicine, though.
I will say the medicine bits are kind of interesting. When Food Wars was good, the way they talked about food was always like a highlight of an episode for me.
Yes, yeah.
But they still had characterization and world development in Food Wars. This show just like completely
I'm sure at
ignores
some
it.
point the novelty is going to wear off, but I'm sure we'll never get to that point in the anime. So I'm sure the anime is going to be pretty good.
That's quite probably true. Just like with Shield Hero Season 1. We probably won't get to the bit where Arthur Quinn lost
interest. If they had just
interest.
stopped at the 13th episode of Shield Hero, everyone would be like, this is a great show. Why is it not getting more? Next on the list, though, we have Jashin-chan Dropkick X. Dropkick on
Which
My
I have
Devil
not watched, but you have.
I have indeed. I've watched all of it. I love this show. It's so dumb. It's about a girl who is definitely a witch, but she keeps saying she's not. Who summoned a devil just because she wanted to try. But she did it by buying or finding a book in a bookstore, which I think she works at. I can't remember. About how to summon devils. And she summons this Naga devil thing. And she doesn't bother reading to the end of the book. So it says, like, continue to the next book to find out to send them back to hell. But she completely loses interest in that. So the only way for the devil to go back to hell is for her to kill the witch character. This is the third season of this. Obviously, no one has succeeded in killing this person yet. It's an incredibly violent show. And you'd think the devil would be the person perpetrating the violence. And she tries, but she's just not very good at it. The one who's the violent one is the witch. If you've watched any of the seasons, there's a bunch of gruesome violence throughout of it. The devil can regenerate herself. So she never dies, no matter how much torture or, damage is done to her.
I mean, that makes sense in a world where there's an entire book talking about how to banish her, so...
Yeah. Literally also, like the devil is one of like the kind of side character narrators in the story.
Incredible.
It just sort of hangs around and, gives exposition. But it's actually technically a Yuri manga. And,
oh no.
But it's a Yuri manga interspersed with just incredible amounts of violence, and it almost didn't get a third season, because I'm not sure if it was popular enough to do that, because I think sometimes the violence can put you off really quickly, because it's no holds bar in that regard. But it also represents like otaku culture, and particularly like Akibahara otaku culture. So characters are often in that area. And for the third season, they crowdfunded it. And they got Miku, what's her name? Atsume Miku, as a character in the show. And the interesting thing about that is they have a channel called Jashin-chan is the devil, by the way. So it's called Jashin Channel.
Yeah. That makes sense, actually.
They previously had do you think 10, 20,000 followers on that channel? But that Miku clip they uploaded to it got like 5 million views in a day. So they've sort of exploded in popularity there. And I kind of wonder what that means for the future of the anime. If it's going to be like a kind of weird Vocaloid VTuber kind of thing in the next season, if it gets one. That would be a very interesting effect if that sort of cross-pollination of like geek otaku culture had an effect on a show like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I enjoy it. I think people, it's not like necessarily like a horror or a gore kind of thing. It's just if you like contrasting things in the same show, you'll like that sort of show. Yes.
Yep.
Hachiraku Mao-sama. The Devil's
Hachiraku Mao-sama season 2. Have you watched it?
Yeah, I have. I've watched 3 episodes of it. I think that's maybe all there is so far.
I've only watched 3 as well. I'm not sure if there's a 4th out yet. But regardless, my perspective is that it's lost a lot of the shine, perhaps because it's been too long since the season 1. I'm not finding the jokes very funny. Don't get me wrong. The voice actors are great. The characters are still interesting. And the jokes occasionally land.
I think some of the voice actors sound much older than they used to.
It's
been 10 years.
Something's just not hitting right for me. I feel like I enjoyed season 1 as an 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. And this is very much more a 6 out of 10.
I'm still
good,
enjoying it, but
great.
I think I'm in a similar boat with you. Although I think maybe once a few other things get going in the season, it might be more enjoyable. But it didn't have that initial kind of excitement that the first season had getting into all the development of it. It very much feels just like a continuation of the story, which it is, and they've introduced this little child character as like a part of like a conspiracy mystery box sort of character. I like it. It's very watchable, and I'm going to keep watching it, but it's not amazing. Yeah.
Also, I'm not finding the mystery that interesting. or at least it hasn't sucked me in yet.
No, well, I mean, it's not meant to be that much of the. I think it's just a way of introducing a child character into the show, isn't it?
Possibly.
And we're actually getting some backstory on the characters, which is kind of interesting. I do enjoy that. And we're getting like, what's the white-haired demon's name?
Demon. Not Astaroth. I forget.
Asheral. Anyway, like he's gonna have like a love story thing with the coworker character, so that's kind of interesting because he's been very much pegged into like a weird position. It would be kind of interesting to see how he deals with that. I assume it's going to be
based on the amount of fan arts I have seen for the show. Suggesting that he's been pegged is an interesting phrase.
All right. No, yeah. I can see where you're going with that. That's the way to put it. But okay. The next one though. Soredemo.
Ayumu wa Yosetekuru.
Indeed.
When will Ayumu
make his move? Is a story about a shogi club with 2 members. Did you watch it?
I watched 1 episode. I've decided not to watch more.
Okay.
This show is good. It's well animated. The voice actors are solid. But if you've watched Teasing Master Takagi-san, it's very similar.
It's the high school version of that, sort of.
Yes, yeah, kind of.
But it's. I mean, I'm enjoying it. There's nothing special. It's got some trope kind of characters in it. That we have like Sundari's senpai, and then we've got the silent type, emotionless guy as the kohai character in the club. And his goal is to defeat his senpai in shogi so he can confess to her, right? That's basically.
He's decided that he won't confess until he has beaten her at least once.
Which, if you've watched to the 4th episode, you know is just something he's telling himself, basically. But maybe it'll go somewhere. I think like the author might have written themselves into a corner there and didn't know what to do. It's fine though. It's a little love romance anime. You like it, that you like it. There's another RWBY. Not gonna watch it. I tried to watch the 2nd season of Utawarerumono.
I have to admit, I have not watched this show.
It's. I think if you've tried to and succeeded to watch the first. I always think I should watch it, right? Because it's a White Fox product. And I like White Fox's stuff.
But the story is not interesting.
No, it's not. It's just ancient Japan, but like there's weird monsters and some guy's a panda.
I think they tried to present it in a more artistic style, but it ended up just being kind of slow and kind of boring.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you went to Japanese high school and you did like, classical history and such like that, maybe this is interesting. But from a Western perspective, it's just a bunch of references I don't get, basically, So, I'm going to skip it this time. Engage Kiss. I thought this would be absolute trash. And it is.
Instead.
But it's not that bad, actually. It's not
Its
what it
premise
sounds
is
like.
interesting.
So it's not just like a weird romance anime or like a harem kind of thing. There is a love triangle going on.
It certainly is not yet a harem thing.
Sure, everything develops into that, given some time. But it's about this guy who's in a weird position. He works as like a demon eliminator.
Myoryoji or whatever it's called. But yeah,
Yeah.
he hunts and stops demons in this mysteriously advanced city that runs on some kind of energy source.
What could it be?
Ooh, with demons inside the city for some reason.
And everyone's trying to cover things up, but I'm sure they're doing that just to maintain order, right?
I'm going to be less negative about this. It's actually a fun watch.
It is a fun watch. So he's living with a high school girl who is also a demon. and she's really into him. Part of her contract with him, a demon contract, is like she's eating his memories, which is kind of disturbing. So he doesn't really understand exactly what his position is at some points. He can't really remember, which it's so contrary to like the kind of fluff nature of their relationship that you don't really pick up on it until you get to like the third or the fourth episode, that this is like some weird thing that's going on in this dynamic.
Mm.
So previously, the love triangle part is with another character who is like an heiress type character working for the people who are kind of in charge of the city. And she's also part of the demon elimination group of characters. And previously, those two were in a relationship. And I'm sure we'll find out as the show goes on, like why
what happened there.
What happened.
Well, I mean, boy's losing his memories, so.
Yeah, right. It's so much better than the name suggests.
Even the poster looks like a shitty 90s action anime.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit better than that.
It's almost like a gritty cop anime at times. Although then it stops being that. It becomes like a little romance thing for a while. But then it goes back to gritty cop with some really good action.
The comedy is actually kind of okay too.
Yeah. Everything in the show is so much. The name is terrible. People are just not going to watch it because of the name.
To sum up our feelings on the show, we went in expecting a 4 out of 10 and we came out with a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, right?
That's my feeling on this as well. The setting is so much more exciting than I expected.
Right, yeah. I almost didn't watch it until I read the summary of it. The next one is Kinso no Vermeil. Oh boy, I can't suggest this one, honestly. It's about a magical high school student who is about to be expelled from school because he can't summon a familiar. Does that sound familiar to you? Have you watched Zero no Skyma? This time he's male, so it's completely different. Except he doesn't just summon a normal human from Japan. He actually summons a demon, who then proceeds to pretend to be a human because, having a demon as a familiar is probably bad form for a high school student. What do you think about this, Yash?
I'm positive about this show.
Right.
I know that wasn't quite what I should have said, but for a show that has one of the more boring premises, I will say that it's got a competent characterization. For the MC, the FMC, the other love interest that likes him but won't tell him, and he's too moronic to notice. The threats outside of the academy are kind of interesting-ish. We haven't seen anything yet, but
yeah.
It's starting to look like things outside of the academy matter a lot as well. I'm curious if that will work out.
It's kind of...
And even... Yeah.
And it's an ecchi Iruma-kun sort of story at the moment.
So its ecchi moments are actually kind of fun. I really enjoy how she teases him. And she was the demon lord of this world before she was sealed.
Yes.
So
or at least,
she is kind of...
Yeah, one of the main ones.
She is kind of like a mixture of regretful and like amused at her current situation. Because she was one of the greatest powers in this world. And now she serves a teenage boy as a succubus. So it's like... There's a lot happening, and some of it is, in my opinion, quite funny.
I can't really recommend it to everyone. I think if... specifically if the succubus element, sounds like that's up your alley, then you'll really enjoy it. But other than that, it's kind of bland to me, storyline wise.
Oh yeah, the storyline is currently a little bland.
I think the next one I'm just gonna say skip entirely. Mama Haha Stepmom's daughter
So,
is my ex.
if you enjoy trashy romance shit, this is trashy romance shit.
But there's better trashy romance out. Watch
Every season
watch
we
Nested
get.
Cuckoos. It's still going on. It's so much better than this.
No,
Just-
but that's not trashy. That's not this level of trashy. Some people really enjoy people competing with each other and hurting each other through emotional blackmail. That's a
Right.
genre.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to say that this is for a very particular type of person. I think Gaguk kind of would like this. This anime.
It's entirely possible. He likes this stuff. I must say, this is not what I want.
Nope. I haven't watched the next one.
I have not watched the next one
Which
either.
is
It felt like it was
Orishima.
It felt like a
Get the-
Sentai to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I just not sure what it's about, so can't comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
Kurono Shukanshi.
Shokanshi.
Black Summoner.
Black Summoner.
Nothing
watched-
special, but I'm enjoying it, I think.
I've only watched 2. I haven't watched the full 3.
I think I've only watched 2 as well, yeah.
I personally am enjoying it, but I'm not going to call it good.
I think the problem with this is there's like 3 anime this season which have a slime summoning or slime having hero, and it's kind of just confusing.
Up to a point, yeah. But I mean, it's nice to have an MC that has like confidence and something to back it up.
Yes, and it's kind of got some interesting characters as well. Like they sort of make fun of the trope of like the menu in these settings. And so they've made the menu a character. Even more
part
so
of
than
his
the menu is
evolution.
in what's that one? The time I got turned in reincarnated as the slime. This one's
Right,
actually in love
the
with the
menu,
protagonist, right?
Is now called Raphael in Slime.
Right, yes, yeah. So this just is from the get-go, the menu is a character with a personality. The protagonist is not like a little scaredy cat kind of character, so the story progression is pretty fast. It's been fun so far. It doesn't feel like it's going to get dark at any point, but given the name, I wouldn't be surprised if something's coming. But anyway, I'd recommend watching it. It's a good isekai, but it doesn't feel like it needs to be an isekai. It just feels like a generic fantasy anime to me. But it's got some of those tropes from isekai. So
Oh, it's definitely a trope-filled thing, but the main character having an actual personality is just nice.
true indeed. Prince of Tennis has another season.
I have not watched this one, I'm afraid.
Right. Isekai Meikyu de Harem. Oh. Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World.
This is this season's 2 versions of the show air. Be sure to watch the right one.
Indeed. So this is in line with the shield hero genre of isekai. Except they've really gone into the slavery aspect of that show in this thing, and it makes me feel uncomfortable.
So I will say, my favorite part of this, as a manga reader, is that our boy starts out exactly like how I think I would start out in this world. I arrive in the world, I see slavery, and I go, ew, that's horrible. However, this guy then goes on to find out that you can get sex slaves in this world, and then is immediately in. And exactly like someone with no sexual education at all, thinks that it's his job and goal for the rest of his life to build a harem. Luckily for us, as the manga continues, our boy develops feelings for his first slave, treats her well, actually falls in love with her, does not build a giant harem, and actually develops as a character to the point where he's not just interested in getting sex slaves.
It's strange. Like he actually has real emotions. He actually regrets killing people and things, which is a strange thing in anime.
He feels a lot like a gamer because as soon as he discovers a way to make money that's actually significant, he immediately attempts to exploit it.
Right.
And also, I know it's disappointing, bad, wrong, whatever, but Like when he finds out that they're sex slaves and he, a virgin, immediately gets excited. That fills a lot of the Japanese high school boy tropes, I feel.
I still think it will make most people feel kind of really uncomfortable, and I don't like the fact that like slavery is becoming like a tag in my anime.
Slavery, unfortunately, has been a tag in anime now for a long time. The isekai genre is all slavery all the time.
Well, in the
Virtually
manga,
every
right?
isekai
But
has it now.
generally, that sort of thing has a very limited reception in the anime world because it's hard to market. You know.
You're saying those words, but all we are seeing this season from the isekai genre is slavery animes.
Yeah, I guess that's why I don't really like this. They're trying to make it also feel a bit like that ecchi brothel reviewers anime.
Same studio made this.
Yep. So I guess that's why. Tokyo Mew Mew has a new show called Tokyo Mew Mew New. You know who you are.
Yep. I will say this apparently is very well done. The people who have reviewed the show have said that it's got a good budget and it's going well. I have not watched this.
I did watch a few episodes. It's not for me. It's fine though. There's nothing wrong with liking a good shoujo. Especially not a good magical shoujo is entertaining at times. Just not for me. Shine Post I have not watched. Prima Doll I have not watched either.
I intend to watch Prima Doll. I have not watched any episodes yet. But it looks like the TV show version of a movie that came out a while ago. I've forgotten the name of the movie.
Is this the one that's like the Maid Wars or something? In
Prima Doll is ex-war veteran dolls. The people that have had their emotions removed and become automata, apparently,
right,
are now working as like cafe maids.
I see.
And I'm not sure. I think the show is going to be about them working through their feelings and regaining their humanity.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'll give that a go at some point. I just haven't seen it on any of the things I watch anime on, so.
So the initial purpose is that they're cute dolls, and then you realize that they have feelings.
So the next one is Saikin Yotota
Maid ga Ayashi.
So
the maid I recently hired is mysterious.
Yeah, mysterious.
This is a manga that I've been reading for a long time, and I was very interested to see the adaptation. Have you watched?
No, I think that just there's only one episode out so far. I haven't got around to it. But I will.
The voice actors they got for the boy and the maid are perfect. 100% the best casting I have seen for an anime recently. The first episode did not go very far. I'm a little bit concerned if this means the entire anime is going to be extremely slow.
Oh,
but it is a little bit.
I think the reason it's even on my radar is that Megumin is the voice for the maid, right?
Maid. Let me tell you, this show is going to have a lot of those cinnamon roll, heart feel, warm moments in it. So if you like that voice actress, this is a great show. I'm just concerned about the pacing. It feels like the way they are adapting it is a little bit slow. But I could be wrong. I've only watched one episode.
And so the voice for the boy is also a female voice actress. And I think she is the same voice actress as... Well, she's definitely the same one as Victoria Seberachov. How do you say her name?
Seberachov,
the lieutenant from...
she's your forager.
Yeah. And I think that means she's also... Kaguya-sama, right? No, she's somewhat in Kaguya. One of the supporting girls, but I can't really remember.
Sadly, I mainly remember her as Seberikov and Yor. So
anyway, so it's got some good voice actors for sure, and I will be watching it. Kami Kuzu Idol. I like the title. I haven't got around to watching it though.
I have not watched this at all. I watch some idol anime occasionally. I have not watched this.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. So there's gonna be a genre you're not gonna be able to get into. Moving on though. Luminous Witches, right? Oh, no, that's not
Luminous Witches. Can we
Luminous
bang
Witches.
planes? From the people that brought us Can You Bang Ships?
Right. If you like that
Sadly,
anime, you'll probably like this anime.
like this one,
This
I
one
have not
seems
watched.
better than the ship anime, if I'm honest, and better than the Tank Girl anime.
Be careful about expressing opinions in this topic.
In the sense that I watched the first episode and I didn't immediately turn it off.
Recoil.
Right. It had some character development. There seemed like there was actually a plot. It actually it seems like a World War II Macross storyline to me.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch the whole thing. But it has almost like a kind of Marvel-y kind of feeling towards it. Do you remember how like Captain America, the first one, played out, where you had what's that Carter character kind of guiding him through his like because he wasn't basically an entertainer going through
Yes,
with all
yeah.
troops, and
He
there's
was
like a
an
character
idol.
like that, an American girl who's assembling a force of witch girls to sing as like a morale thing, and this slowly develops into like a flying plane unit of witches. So I don't know, it has potential. I
So
wouldn't
Luminous
immediately
Witches has existed before as an anime before. I didn't watch that one.
right.
But I was under the impression that that was like an air defense unit with idols.
Yeah. This seems just more like they're singing, like Macross. I might watch it. If I run out of anime, I'll watch it.
I'm gonna skip this one.
Yeah. Card Fight Vanguard. I
Yep.
have no idea what this is.
So Cardfight has had 7 seasons of anime now, but each season is not technically connected. It's all about this card universe, and they make an anime for it.
Okay. So I guess if you like that, you know who you are. Rent a Girlfriend season 2. Yep, they have got a season 2.
I'm so glad this got a season 2. Oh, it hurt my heart so much to hear people praising this show when season 1 came out.
Right.
And now that season 2 is out, people can be. Oh, it was so wonderful to hear people who were praising season 1 come out and go, "Oh yeah, so it turns out Author Kun is trash. Whoops, never mind. I hate the show."
Right.
I am so happy
Oh dear.
that people finally got to see it.
Okay, so this brings us to our second slime having hero anime. This is also
My
an
Isekai Life.
I don't hate it. It just doesn't feel like anything in particular. It feels like someone's mashed together 5 different anime.
I call this an
hasn't
above
explained
average
anything?
Isekai.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not even probably good, but it is not a total waste of time.
It's very watchable. The animation quality is questionable. They present it like an epic style high fantasy, but nothing about the way they animate things is in line with that sort of feeling. I don't understand the protagonist. I guess we'll work on that as the season goes on, and he'll make more sense gradually. But he doesn't speak, and he gives very little away, and even the flashbacks we have to his black company work life don't explain much about him and why he's such a weird recluse. But yeah.
And I've got relatively bad news for you, Chris. From here on down, is there any anime you have watched? Yuri Deko?
I
maybe?
have. I've watched the next one, which is Shine On,
Shine On?
Bakumatsu Bad Boys.
Oh, that's interesting. I have not even heard of that.
It's about the samurai clan who gets wiped out, and their lord decides to spare a bunch of criminals and give them the katanas that those samurai had. but the samurai were killed in such a way that their souls went into their swords as they died, which makes them shine like lightsabers.
Incredible, of course.
God, it's terrible. I've never seen an anime with less merit, with such a cool premise. just the idea of like a weird Star Wars kind of Jedi clan of samurai is such a cool idea. This is so boring. I don't understand why this is a thing. I'm not going to continue watching it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, but beyond that point, I don't think there is. Oh no, there's a few other things.
So Teppen was one that I was interested in, but I never actually got around to watching it.
Yeah, I haven't started watching Teppen. I do intend to give it a try at least. Warau no Arsnotoria Sun. I don't know if I want to watch this or not. It looks okay, but it just sort of...
Animation style is super cute, but I watched 15 minutes of one episode and went, oh god, I'm so bored.
You're right, yeah. That's sort of the feeling I get with just watching the preview. Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, I am watching that.
I am also watching that, but I don't have anything to say about it yet. It feels like the show is unpredictable.
It's a... When was the manga? Like in the 90s? Something around there?
Quite possibly.
It's a really old manga that has just now got an anime adaptation. And it feels that way. Like the way the characters speak, the way that they're drawn, the fact that the character like only ever uses his phone as a phone is a strange thing, even though they've made it into like a smartphone for the anime.
Mm-hmm.
It has the kind of the way of draw. I can't speak English anymore. Like the style of drawing is like kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh almost.
Okay.
In a sense,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
They've modernized it a little bit for the anime adaptation. Actually, more like maybe like a Love Hina kind of
there we go.
way of drawing. Yeah. It's not bad at all by any stretch of the imagination.
It's not bad. It's set in like a time period, basically.
Yeah. It feels like a bit of a slow burn, and I don't think it's going to get the runtime to develop into the story it should be in the way a 90s anime traditionally would have.
Mm-hmm.
If it does, I'd be amazed. But it's fine. It's a fine watch. But it's nothing. I think the fact that it was just made so far in the future from when the manga was drawn is the main drawback of this. It actually has a pretty interesting story, about like demons, magical powers, a princess with a bizarre accent, a hammer that is going to smite the earth, right? The Biscuit Hammer.
The Biscuit Hammer.
Secret organizations. It's got that traditional kind of 80s action anime protagonist who has to develop themselves into a hero, which you don't see anymore, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like a Karate Kid kind of vibe, where he's this weak, pathetic person to begin with, and he finds a reason to work for something, and so he gets stronger. So that's something you just don't see in anime anymore. Maybe that is a reason to watch it, but I'm not super thrilled with the way it. I was really excited about it at first, but it hasn't really struck me as very interesting after that. Anything else on the list that we're still watching? As I said, Kakuno Inazuke is in its second half of the first season. That's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Queendom
Yes,
is still going. Summertime Render is still going.
Summertime Render is one of the best anime I've seen this year, but I also don't want to talk about it because it's a mystery anime and I'm not sure where it's going and I don't want to make predictions. I
Right.
also don't want to hear anyone's opinion about it.
Yes, no, I get that. But that's a continuation anime, and everything else is mostly just remakes or second seasons. We've got some short animes. We've got the companion. Oh, we should talk about Overlord, actually. We haven't actually talked about Overlord. But before we do that, Overlord players, Pleiades, as they've written here. I think it's a strange way of translating it because it's definitely the way they say it in Japanese is players in the title.
But the Pleiades
But the
is
Pleiades
a
are the maids, right? Yeah.
it's a star formation, and the Pleiades are supposed to be related to the stars.
Indeed. The Seven Sisters, or however many they are. That's just a 5-minute anime, and this season it's about the bar in Nazarick. There's nothing more to be said about that. Okay, and the rest is just Chinese anime, all the way down. So, Overlord 4, how do you feel about it? We've watched 3 or 4 episodes, depending on when this comes out.
I think I've watched 4. No, I have definitely watched 4.
I think I've watched 3, but go ahead. I'm aware of
yes.
what happens in the stories.
So I'm concerned that episode 1 was, in my opinion, the worst episode of Overlord that I have seen. After that, everything is great, in my opinion.
I don't think it's the worst episode, but
building up to, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But episode 3 and 4 in particular were like amazingly funny to me. I was laughing a lot.
See, episode 1 was Isekai Quartet, but just Overlord, right? It was just fan service for the first 15 minutes of the episode, and then there was a brief bit at the end where they talk about some stuff.
What if we had to make an episode that doesn't affect the world in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah. Episode 2, we got introduced to some of the conniving humans in the world who are going to get their comeuppance for being human, essentially. And,
well, I mean, we get introduced to Philip, who is convinced that he's the greatest thing to exist.
Oh, his reasoning is so insane.
Yeah, so he wants to make enemies of all of his neighbors because the Overlord will protect him. Yeah, totally. If he's useful. Yeah, the Overlord will go into another country and protect him against his neighbors.
We see a little bit of like Alberta developing as her own character, which I think is interesting. So
I will say, I think that that's vital because in season 3, Ainz was trying to push Cocytus to develop for himself.
Yes.
And Cocytus putting forth that he felt the lizard men were honorable and deserved life was actually like the first time, well, not the first time, but basically the earliest moment we got that the side characters would be their own characters.
But up until this point in the anime, we've seen only the characters Ainz pushes to develop having any sort of development, right? Except for Sebas. He's also sort of acted out on his own.
But this also
in a way that was actually very consistent with his character. So
with his character and the character of his creator. Although this does bring up as well that the Devil Man, what's his name again? Demiurge? Demiurge, yeah. That Demiurge being off-screen so often might be more horrifying than even we are imagining.
Isn't it you sometimes hear his name and you're like, oh my god, what atrocities has he committed off-screen?
Now. Because you're getting, and the best part is, because we are seeing Albedo acting out as like the most intelligent, we're all a little terrified of Demiurge, who is on the same tier as her, but off-screen all the time.
It's the first time Ainz has said like they are super geniuses, I think, in the show.
Yes, he has said that the two of them alone would be able to manage the entirety of everything.
Yeah, as immortal super geniuses or something. I can't remember what the exact words are. But you never really think of Albedo as like super clever. But she actually is. She's just also, very insane at the same time.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it, she's actually managing all the floors, while each guardian is supposed to manage their own floor.
Right, I mean, she's in charge, essentially, and she has all the skills associated with that. And like she speaks in a characteristic way, but she uses like really complicated terms, and she seems like she understands them.
Mm-hmm.
And the subtlety with like which he sort of is defying Ainz at the same time as just sort of adoring him is interesting. Because she's been calling him Momonga, right?
Momonga. Mm-hmm. Because she hates Ainzul Gohan.
Well, she doesn't like the fact that he has become that organization. She really wants to
He has
separate him
decided
into
to
like
take
a
that
person.
name. Mm-hmm.
So like she can have him as like her husband or whatever, I guess.
An interesting nuance to that is that he didn't take the name Ainz before he changed her setting to love him.
Yes.
So he was still Momonga when he decided to make her setting that she's in love with him. And then he declared that he's Ainz Ul Gohan.
Yes.
So in a very weird way, it can be argued that he has brought her insubordination on himself by changing her setting.
Yeah, indeed. I don't know. I really enjoyed the third episode where it was just talking mostly. But I mean that's Overlord. The talking
There
is the
was a lot
interesting
of
part.
pieces moving in the background kind of stuff happening.
We got introduced to a new secret organization, and their, conniving world domination kind of Illuminati schemes.
Also,
And
we
then
got shown that they were behind a lot of the moves that happened in season 1.
and how they were thwarted in a lot of their attempts to do things by Ainz's actions.
By Ainz's sudden appearance.
And then the emperor, the golden-haired emperor, having a freak out and losing his hair was just like just like kind of amazing, because can you imagine being in his position where you've just been sort of awed by these beings of immense power, and yet you still have to try and manage your kingdom. And he's a very clever character at the same time, and he doesn't know what to do.
That's exactly what I was going to say. In the season 2, when he was introduced, we were told about how all of the moves he has made has brought the kingdom to ruin, and how the empire is going to take over everything. So he was introduced as this like world threat that was going to unify the continent as this great hope. And he is so young compared to the kings that the rest of the kingdoms are introduced as. And he is crushing all opposition to him.
Yes.
But then he runs into Ainz, and everything Ainz does.
I mean, very obviously, he's supposed to be like a Julius Caesar type character.
Absolutely. I mean, he wears a laurel for his crown. They couldn't have made it more obvious if they tried.
Yeah. So I expect some stabbing. That's what I'm saying. But his breakdown in front of his knights was interesting, to say the least. And then he tried his hardest to try and just have a slight bit of control over a situation, so he could have a private conversation. And
I love the reasoning and the thought. He hired mercenaries that could counter magical hearing.
Yes.
He moved out of the palace so that his own advisor couldn't betray him. And then just coincidentally, Ainz was like, I'm going for a walk.
Going right? Hi, how are you? It's strange that you're here, isn't it? And that just destroyed him as a person. So this season is going to be good.
Even better part is it's turned the religious nation against him.
Right? Just in that one moment, Ainz... And Ainz doesn't know what he's doing. That's
he
the
is
fun
totally
part.
clueless.
He's
in fact, he only
so
went up
much
to be a
less
little
intelligent than this man.
This person, but he's so much more less intelligent than the two people serving him as well.
Yes.
And the best part about it is they're all convinced, since they're quote-unquote subservient to him, that he is secretly hyper-intelligent. So they always interpret everything he does so differently.
I mean, okay. I think that's what makes Overlord so fun, is that dynamic. And the fact that things kind of just keep working out, because he's not incompetent in any meaningful way.
He certainly is not incompetent. He has kept his guild going alone.
But
for 4
yeah,
years
the fun part is that Albedo and Damage just don't see the fact that they're actually the people who are kind of, running the show and succeeding. But with Alberta developing in a strange way, maybe she has sort of picked up on some of those things. That would be very interesting if it does develop in that way.
I kind of think the whole joke is that no one ever does.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they might do it, but they won't realize what they've done, and Heinz will come out on top somehow. But that's basically all of the anime of the season. I hope that helped anyone who's like deciding what they want to watch. There are some surprisingly good anime. I thought we were going to have a pretty bad season, but it's turned out to be pretty okay. So that's good. Thanks for listening, guys. My name's Christopher. You can find me at That Japanese Thing on YouTube or at thejapanophile.com. Thank you, Yash.
Thank you for the show.
Cheers for now, everyone. Bye.